Hey guys, you're watching the Crypto Future. My name is Teddy. I want to talk about China and more specifically banks in China. There is a lot of news recently where banks have came out, especially the smaller banks, right? We found out that the Chinese banks are not doing so well, right? There was a report that came out and five of the banks reported that their property debts have increased from 60 to 25%. Literally, that is an indicator to China to say property is getting bad. People are getting into debts. People can't pay their mortgage. There is a housing issue happening. At the same time, there was another scandal with the banks that happened. The smaller banks, the way the Chinese government works, there's big banks, there's smaller banks, there's regulatory banks, there's all these banks, right? And the goal being to distribute money. Well, there were four banks that actually stopped people from receiving withdrawals. And we found out there was even a bigger scandal with these four banks. They started arresting almost 200 something people involved because they were promising higher returns for using their banks. But what ended up being was the bank itself, these Chinese banks, were owned by gangs that were controlling, that were controlling villages, right? But now the insurance, they're trying to make things right, but it is scary. This is a power like China that can suffer a banking crisis, right? Literally, we're talking about debts that are not being paid back, money they're not getting, and people trying to withdraw money. All these things are showing what's happening in China. Now we have to wonder, hey, China, we know, is doing good. They're not as in much debt as the United States. But if this is happening in China and they're, pandemic, they're done with the pandemic, they're, pandemic free now, whatever numbers they want to show at us, the banks don't lie. The numbers that the banks have reported do not lie. So I do want to review two articles here. All right. So I want to talk about this article here, which talks about China's largest bank and how it's showing wounds in the property sector. But really, it talks about five of China's largest banks that showed issues in the sector, right? They talked about an increase of 68 to 20% in their real estate debt across those five banks. And they said it's downward pressure from the economy, and this is something that is going to be affected greatly by everyone, right? Not just in this current economic cycle, right? They believe it's going to happen continuously throughout this year. The Chinese economy faces fairly large downward pressure this year, you see? So I definitely am intrigued. I read through the entire article. It is sad to know that people are not able to pay their mortgages, have a roof over their head. Things like this definitely show a downward trend in real estate outside of the United States. So now I want to talk about the China arrests hundreds over country's biggest ever banking scandal. So another scandal, right? So this one is with four banks in central China's Henan province, where they suspended cash withdrawals since April, right? So they freeze the funds of hundreds and thousands of customers, sparking protests, literally people on the streets asking to let me have my cash. I trusted you as a bank and I cannot get the cash that I'm entitled to, right? This is scary. It is one thing. I'm a crypto YouTuber. I talk about crypto, but I also look at what's happening in the news. And right now, this news is a little bit scary because if a bank, if a central bank, if any type of these government insured regulated banks are stopping withdrawals, then is there truly trust in banks? So now we can't, let's assume, right? Okay, we can't trust banks. We can't trust crypto exchanges. So all we have left is the blockchain. I'm just kidding. But seriously, this is a significant thing that could happen across the world. I don't think this just is for China, right? I would be scared if I'm in a country where a bank can stop withdrawals and then say, hey, we're investigating something, no one can withdraw money. And then you come to find out later that, hey, that money's probably gone. The people that were able to get promises and repayments, they're happy if they met the qualification. But what if you had more than 57,000 in that bank or 72,000 in that bank? You know, these things matter. We have to understand where our money is, the type of investment you're securing your current investment is that gonna work out in the future? And these guys trusted the banks. They put their money in there. The banks were doing scandalous things, right? And really all we can talk about is despite the bad loans and everything, they literally are trying to increase the amount that they still can lend out so they can make some money back. They still have to lend out money, right? So it's just this constant evolution of just, where do you stop trusting fiat currency? Where do you start diversifying fiat currency, right? So that's what I wanted to hit on today. I'm not saying don't trust banks. All I'm trying to say is be aware. Things happen. And when things happen, make sure you're not in a situation where, because you put all your eggs in the same carton, that you're not able to withdraw your money from a single source. So if you diversify, meaning you have some in crypto, you have some in mutual funds, you have some in stocks, and one issue happens where something gets locked up, you still have other avenues you can leverage. So guys, that's all I want to talk about today. What do you guys think about all this? Is something going on? Is this the first indicator that things are not well globally? And where is this going to go, and what's going to happen to crypto? Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. I look forward to reading them. I will talk to you again whenever. And please like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Till next time, goodbye.